Okay, we're going to take some things off up top here. Couple things, it's got an aftermarket ignition Mallory coil, and they've already spliced the wire, so there's actually a lot of excess wire there. I am just going to snip that, and then I'll put it together shorter whenever I put it back together. Now that's disconnected. We've also got to disconnect the coil wire to the top of the distributor, which incidentally is held on with a zip tie for some reason. I don't know why. Tachometer cable. This is a mechanical tach, so gotta loosen the tachometer cable, pull it out. Tachometer isn't working in this car, so I'm going to end up attaching a drill to that cable and seeing whether it's the tach or it's in the distributor. We've got the oil pressure sending unit down under here. Just has a wire. Fortunately, it's a electric gauge, so that won't cause any issues with the oil line. Going to disconnect the vacuum line that goes to the all the stuff in the car, the headlights, etc. I'm going to have to disconnect this from the brake booster. That's got a, looks like maybe a 1/4 inch nut on the top, or also use a screwdriver. The temperature sending unit down here needs to be disconnected. Can't get it with one hand, so I'm going to have to put the camera down. Alternator wires are going to have to come off here, and then there's two that are bolted on. One over here that's a black wire, and then a red wire right here. Eventually, we're going to have to disconnect the master cylinder because those are going to be attached to the frame of the car. For now, I'm going to work on the wires over here and this vacuum line, and then we'll check the other side. Okay, I have a drill on the tach. It's running in reverse, showing me 700 RPMs. So my problem with the tach is actually in the distributor, so eventually I'm going to have to pull that out to correct that. Okay, here's my setup for running the tach. I just turn the drill on, spin the cable, and it's showing that the tach and cable are good. We just have to go fix what's in the distributor. The rest of what I handled here is the vacuum line to the booster is off. That was a 1/4 inch nut on there. And down here on the distributor, I used a 1/2 inch on this side, and that bolt is back in there. On this side, it's a 7/16. Now, this wanted to spin on me whenever I was doing it, so I had to grab this back part with a pair of needle nose pliers in order to get the nut off. So if I end up putting it back together and it's not charging, that's the first place I'm going to look. I'll go have the alternator tested. Okay, there's not too much I find over here to be disconnected today, but the electric choke wire, which is run between the linkage of the carburetor. I don't think I'm going to do that whenever I put it back together. I think there's a better way to run that. The other thing that is interesting is this is the seatbelt interlock that prevents you from starting the car without the seatbelt buckled. Well, they've wired this relay so that it's always closed, and therefore the seatbelts don't have to be buckled. This is an aftermarket windshield washer. This is the one that is standard. Probably can just be rebuilt with a kit. I don't know if I'll do that or not. I don't even know if the windshield washer works. So other than that, the radiator is going to have to come out because the shroud will hit the fan. So either the fan's got to come off or the radiator's got to come out in order to get the body off. And of course we have to disconnect the heater hoses there and at the water pump, and then that's the lower radiator hose, and of course the upper radiator hose needs to go. And that will be pretty much it as far as I can see up here. I don't see any other ground straps, although I wouldn't be surprised if when I start to lift the body I see some start to stretch and I have to slow down and disconnect them. Other than that, the starter and the battery grounds are pretty much the only things I have left. I left a battery in there. I don't know if it'll turn over the car, but I'd like to set the engine to top dead center on number 1, knowing that I have to pull the distributor out, and that'll make it easier to put it back in and know that it's at the right place timing wise, as long as I don't move it after I take it out. I don't think I need to rebuild it because the engine runs strong, but I'll probably take the oil pan off and I'll plastic gauge the bearings, make sure they're in decent shape, and then we'll go from there.